Yeah, it's 9 o'clock. I guess today we will go through the reasoning and reasoning, verbal, non-verbal, data interpretation, and such problems as part of the CTC, Campus to Corporate, where I told already that BCS, Business Communication Skill, permutation, combination, circular permutation, and little bit of probability we have done. This is where we are slightly lagging in the syllabus. I think you have to go beyond syllabus to look at problems which are available. Probably this PowerPoint which I am going to show you today, I will share to all of you in the group. This PPT which I am showing you is approximately 15 years old, where I used the same thing for UGC net examination. After post graduation, if you want to become government teachers, those people who have to appear for national eligibility tests, there also they have one paper on logical reasoning, analytical skill, data interpretation, etc. Same PowerPoint which I am going to show you was used when I was academic staff college director. I conducted few programs in Cochin, Calicut for people to write those examinations. So why I am saying this is, it's every time the same. It's same construction of question papers you can see throughout, whatever style and whatever form people do this, because there is nothing different, nothing great as far as these questions are concerned. It remains exactly same. So I wish you look at it carefully, take up as many problems as you can, and that will give you a lot of hope. You are able to see the reasoning divided into two, verbal and non-verbal. Are you able to see this? Are you able to see this?
Yes, sir. No, sir.
No?
Yes, sir.
This is Roman notation. You may require to learn this. It is only to indicate what is that you have to learn to answer such problems which come. This is not to teach you, because there is nothing to teach here. These are all what you have learned in your childhood onwards, but you will have to recollect, understand what is exactly to be recollected, so that you can answer such questions, right? So that is what I wanted to tell you. Here you must know the Roman notation. Also you must know reasoning. There are non-verbal and verbal, in which there are different categories. These categories are unimportant, it's only theory. In non-verbal, all these possibilities are there, where the classification, analytical reasoning, mirror reflections of some of the letters or numbers given, which you will have to identify. There is no point in making you to look at it and solve, because it takes longer time. I wanted to show you these could be the set of pictorial reasoning problems which can come. I am not going to make you to do it now, because I know maybe 2-3 people will answer. Rest of the people will just look at it. So this is to tell you these are the categories of problems which you have to learn. There will be one set of A, B, C, D, E given. From that pattern, you will have to identify which is the next one. Sometime it could be the odd fellow out. In the sequence something is not really following the sequence, you will have to find out which is not following and throw them out. Or maybe in the sequence it is following, the next one you will have to identify. There could be a lot of such questions. So how to solve this problem is what I am going to tell you. What you should do is look at one pattern and see how it is moving. Is it clockwise? Is it anti-clockwise? Is it repeated? And then once that is fixed, in the answer you will get one or two options which are probable. Then look at the next pattern. Don't try to look at all the patterns at a stretch. Sometimes you think that is more faster, but most of the time that will be confusing. So each pattern wise, what you can do is you can segregate them, looking at, that's how a complex problem is to be demystified, reduced its intensity to smaller problems. So look at one pattern and then see how that have got a very specific way of moving. You can see the problem, maybe 1/3 of the problem. You have got a round which is fully white, then half black, then fully black, then a square is given. So immediately you must know what is shaded in the next one. The lower half could be the answer. Okay. Now having identified the answer as the 5 in the third question ABCD, the colored one, now confirm that is the answer by looking at the other patterns which is not following a very specific pattern. You can just look at it. If you demystify, if you simplify that, the problems are simple and you can easily get answers. The problems were, see the third one. You have got a dot in the left top corner. Next it came down, one step down or half step down. Therefore it came to the middle in the left extreme. Then it came to the down. So that means first it moved only half unit, then it moved 1 unit, then it must move 1.5 unit in the anti-clockwise direction. That is how the D is happening. So the next one should be, it has to move 2 units in the anti-clockwise direction. So immediately you get the answer as 5. Hope you are able to get that logic. I can do this, but it will take a longer time and you may not even remember these patterns unless you mark yourself. And in these problems the time taken by each individual could be different. So when we do in a group, when somebody gives an answer, I will have to skip because I cannot make the others to wait. Therefore the best option is not to solve these problems on a group wise. You have to do it by yourself. By doing a lot of such problems, your speed will increase. So when your speed increases, probably you will appreciate solving more and more problems and you will become faster and faster. That is the basic pattern which to be followed in logical reasoning problems. You can see where I have marked the blue color, again the third one. The pattern, there are 2 patterns which are moving. In the earlier case there were only 1 pattern. So here you will have to see how the circle moves, how the dot moves, in which direction it is moving, clockwise or anti-clockwise, how many steps it is moving. Then conclude where your answer is. Okay. The first problem in the next slide. Hope you have the slides right. The first problem in the next slide. I am spending more time on the admitting people even after 10 minutes. That is why I am not able to look at the PPT. Here the ABCD, you have got the leaf petals. Again people are joining, so I will have to tilt the leaf which you have, one leaf added to the left and tilted and one is removed from the bottom. And second case, what happened, one of them was moved, the left one is moved, first one, the right bottom leaf was moved and then put it in the top to make a the flower petal. Second, the left is moved, again the second one from the left B, the one petal which was existing is moved in C, and dot is also moving. There is a dot on top, it came down to the right first step, then it came to the left on the second step. So you must know where it has to go. It has to go to the right bottom again, and the petal has to be moved from the right. So that is why the option C, the third option, is the correct answer here. Like this, you will have to look at patterns, look at patterns of different style, and then correct. This slide which I am going to share in the group so that you can practice if you want to yourself. And when you post them as PowerPoint, what I did was the question only will be shown, the answer will come in the next click so that you can test yourself. The logic you will have to derive because explanation of logic is too difficult and it's too large. Difficult in the sense it is too large. It's not very difficult. Here you can see the last problem in this slide. We have got one line, then two lines are added to make a pattern, then three lines are added, then four lines are added. So what will be the next answer? Or it could be a question where which is odd one out. I am repeating because some few people joined later. So in the sequence in logical reasoning, it could be what is wrong in one of the component that you have to identify. Sometimes it is the pattern, what is the next pattern, like the numerical reasoning also, that is how it is asked. Suppose you have got a problem where 1, 4, 9, 16, 25. Instead of 16, it is 17 given. So you know it is squares of the numbers. So 17 is not the correct answer, 16 is the answer. So that's also either turning off or misrepresenting one column or one square in the pattern which is not as per the rules, or could be identify which is the next one. That can be, logical reasoning is always like that, to check your patterns, right? So these are mirror reflection problem sort of a thing, where the two patterns are given and then you have to see, not a exactly mirror, it could be a rotation, it could be reflection, it could be tilting, it could be combination of all that. So that is what you will see in some pattern. Some pattern, the vertices can keep on increasing, the arrow numbers can keep on increasing. So in such problems, what you will have to see one pattern, and once you fix the this is what is the next in the sequence, identify the next pattern and then look at it. Lot of examples are there. You can get maybe thousands or millions of them on the internet. These are nothing new, but these slides which I am showing you is created when internet was not available. So these were all scanned from the textbook and then put it when maybe 15 years back, when I had less access on internet, though that was my first presentation probably on a laptop in 2005 or 6, I think. Yeah. Mathematics remains same, though technology keeps on changing, right? Yeah, this is one where you have got the mirror reflection. The stroke, the reverse is what is shown. You will have to identify that very fast. Okay. It looks like Russian language. Now, this is also mirror reflection, rotation, or combination of that. These are the examples which I want to show you. These are all the picture puzzles which is part of your syllabus. I think there is nothing to teach here. It is only for you to look at it. Here the mirror is up and down. The earlier one was left and right. Okay, so this is another pattern recognition. You will have to identify very fast and then get into the answers. There are hundreds of such slides. I am only showing you a few of them as examples. Here, the cutting the number of cubes in the given figure. How do you find out how many are there, how many will not be there, how did it cut, or such questions can be the questions. These are all to check your ability to interpret a figure much faster. Here, from what is balance is what is to be seen from the full figure what is given, right? This is numerical pattern where you have got 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, 49. The next number has to be identified, right? This require little bit of arithmetic computation which makes you to do it faster. See, for example, the last problem 4, 6, 12, 14, 28, 30. The next number is to be identified. So you know that I give an explanation there. 4 and 12, 28 minus 8 minus plus 16 is what is done. Then 6, 14, 30. What is done is minus 8 plus 16 plus 8 plus 16. So what you should do is look at the pattern, what is added, what is subtracted. Do the same thing to get to the next number. But you must be very fast in computing so that you can do it faster, right? Now here that is where you should use your ability to change one English sentence given into a mathematical problem. Read. In the following diagram, 3 classes of population are represented by 3 figures. So you also got a figure which represents. The triangle represents the school teachers. The square represents the married persons. This is also a logical problem. Now, and the circle represents the living in joint families. Now, based on this figure what is shown and the sentence what is given, sometimes the figure will not be given. You will have to read that and then create a figure so that you can solve it faster. Here I gave 3 different colors so that you relate it faster. Probably you could use some patterns or something like that. And there will be a lot of questions which are asked, which could be combination of that, intersection of that, union of that. What is common between the set? There are 3 sets now. One represented by a circle, one represented by a rectangle, one represented by a triangle. From these patterns, you must know what is common factor, what is common between the triangle and the square, what is common between or the rectangle, what is common between the ellipse and the rectangle or the circle and the square, and identify answers based on the questions. So you must be able to read the question carefully, understand the logic. That is where the communication skill is important. Here also you have similar. How many 7s are there in the following number of sequence which are immediately preceded by 5 but not immediately followed by 3. So understanding that English immediately preceded by 5, you must know. Immediately followed by 3, that means it should come after 3, and preceded by 5, that means it should be before that 5. If you understand this, how do you get this? look at similar problems and then practice as many times as you can. So I'm sure that will give you the logic, because there is nothing great mathematics here. It's only understanding the English, converting them into a figure which you have to have it. Either you must be able to write it very fast. Most of these problem solving, even in a competitive exam, you get a paper at the end which is for your rough work. So you could draw the write there, write it. Don't ever write in the question paper, or maybe sometime it's on computer based, you will have a lot of problems. Some of the tests are computer based in the competitive exams. So you may get one paper and pen for the practice or maybe rough work. So here the pattern of the numbers which have got a very specific rule is what is shown. Here the certain language is given in which there is a mapping. Yesterday we took an example, the water is clear and the sky is clear, and then give some D, Ga, Jo, some codification. Here letter wise it is codified, alphabet wise it is codified. So from there you will have to identify for the next word given, what are the letters used, which are the codes which comes into the answer. Okay, these are all some game sort of a thing. Now the next problem where I am showing as an example is a sentence, a statement is given. Somebody travels northeast, northwest, southwest, take a turn leftwise, rightwise. That means you must know the directions. Whenever you draw direction, upward it is drawn as north, rightward it is drawn as east. So northeast will become the top right corner. If you know that, then the rest of the things you can mark it. So Abhinav walked 2 kilometers west. So immediately you must have a starting point. Let the starting point be A in the figure. 2 kilometers west. That means you must draw towards left 2 kilometers. Then you reach B. Then turned south. That means he is turning towards left. When a person left turn is called south. So turns left. That means you are going down. Covering 4 kilometers. So you are in the paper, it is going down, that is south, north is up. So 4 kilometers you go. So from B you reach the C. Unless you draw this, if you keep on reading the sentence, you will not be able to understand anything. So I am taking one example to show you how to approach the problem. He moved 3 kilometers east. East means rightward, west means on the leftward. So rightward from C to E, he moves 3 kilometers. That means up to D. Then again 1 kilometer west. That means he is turning back, reverse, and he reached E. How far is he from the initial position is the question. So the distance from A to E is what you have to find out. Assume you don't draw this like the way what I explained now, what is shown in the figure. Even if you spend a lot of time, you will not be able to answer it. So whenever there is a question which gives you direction, movement, left turn, right turn, east, west, north, south, any of this, NEWS, news, north, east, west, south, any of this direction movement or turning left, right movement, moving some directions, immediately start drawing a figure like this. Then it becomes simple. Then probably you will have to know Pythagoras theorem so that the distance can be computed. Here you don't have to use any theorem here because it's exactly A to E down and it is 4 kilometers. The answer is straightforward. Sometimes it need not be. See, for the same problem, similar problem is given here. A man walks 6 kilometers to the east, then turns. So you have a starting point say A, 6 kilometers to the east, he reached B. From there, he goes down. So if I get the figure, I can explain. I don't have to read the question at all. Southward, that means taken a right turn, moved 5 kilometers, then taken a left turn or moving towards east 6 kilometers, then taken a left turn, that means he is going towards north. Here he moved 10 kilometers, that means towards north he moved 10 kilometers. How far is he from the starting point? Here you will see it is the hypotenuse of a right angled triangle A, E, and the point between E and D. You know the distance B to C is 5 kilometers. Therefore, you know the distance between D to the midpoint is 5 kilometers. The rest is 5 kilometers. So one side is 5. The rest of the A to the midpoint is 12 kilometers. So you got 12 kilometers on one side, 5 kilometers on the other side of the right angled triangle. So you can compute what is AE. So little geometry, little bit of direction, and that logic if you understand, you can solve the problem. Here a puzzle, you have in your syllabus puzzle. Exactly what is given in your syllabus is what one PowerPoint which I used 15 years back. Exactly for the UGC net training which I gave in Kerala. Exactly that is your syllabus. So I thought I will just share that with you. Here 56, 65, 78, you can see a pattern which is there. With that pattern you can answer this question, right? The pattern you have to identify, and you get it is AI1 minus AI3 is what is AI2. The rows and columns can be having some rules. From that you will have to identify. So here you can see 56 minus 44 is 12, 78 minus 48 is 30. So immediately you must know 65 minus 14 will be this answer, and that's how we got 30. The rule is mentioned here. From the first figure you will have to identify this rule. Okay, whether it is it can be column wise, sometime it can be row wise. So here it happens to be column wise. The first column minus, no, first row minus the third row becomes the second row. Some questions can be identify, maybe some percentage is given. The percentage is given in a family, maybe 45% is spent on food, and 25% is on medical, or maybe 30% is on education. The rest of the percentage is used for others. Whenever percentage is given and maybe the income of the family is not specified, in some cases the income of the families are given and told that each category wise this much is that they are spending. There is lot of difference when you want to compare between two families. If absolute figure is given, not percentage, absolute figure is given. Say somebody has spent 6,000 rupees, the other family has spent 10,000 rupees. Then you can say the family A spent 6,000, family B spends 10,000 rupees. You can compare them and say the family B spend more on medical because absolute value is given. Assume percentage is given or such diagrams are shown, and then they ask you, assume the left which is indicated in black color, the family A, and the right one is family B, the blue letter is blue. If somebody asks you which family spends more on food, immediately don't look at the figure and then come to a conclusion that family A is spending more on food by seeing the figure, because you don't know the budget of A and the budget of B. When such comparisons are made where absolute value is not given, that is only proportions, only percentage and share, and not the absolute value, you will not be able to compare the expenses. Because assume for the family A, the budget is only 10,000 rupees as a whole, and for family B, the budget is 1 lakh per family. Your whole conclusion can be wrong. Even if the percentage remains same, you cannot tell both of them are spending equal amount. So there is a difference between the absolute and the proportions, percentage and share. Some questions can be in that direction. I want to give you that clue. This is one example where you have got a circle is given with a radius r, and maybe the question will be what is the area of the square which is inside the circle encompassed by the circle. The circle is exactly covering the square. The problem is very simple because assume that r is the radius, then 2r is the diameter here. 2r happens to be the diagonal of the square. That's a geometrical relation which you have to know. Once you know the geometrical relation, you can compute it very easily, because 2r becomes the diameter. Suppose A is the side. A is not given in the circle, but you can always find it out. A square plus a square, Pythagoras theorem, gives you 2r square, that is 4r square here. 2r the whole square, that is 4r square. Therefore you get the area of the square as a square, area of the triangle if it is asked, it will become half of that, right? Because r square is equal to a square by 2 is what you get from the first relationship. So it could be a geometrical problem where you will have to attempt. Okay. Similarly, there could be some questions where you have to draw the Venn diagram or make a table. From this problem, what is given in the statement, what I have done is created a diagram like this. Yesterday we have done the timetable creation. Similarly, this is like a game. Okay. Here, x-axis and y-axis will tell you some figures are given from which you will have to identify. This can be a population growth chart. You will have to identify which year has got more population, when percentage is increased, when was the curve become too sharp. So here you can see, if you draw a figure like this, from 31 to 41 it increased very fast. So exponential growth. The growth is maximum between 51 to 61. That is because you can see which statement is correct can be the answer, or which is the perfect answer can be the questions. Something like that you will have to identify. So here the growth is maximum between 51 to 61. Is it correct is what is being asked probably. Because here it is 80 and 90, only 10 is increased. 31 to 40, you have got 40 to 70. So 30 increase is here between 31 to 41. So the questions can be, some statements are given to find out what is correct, what is wrong. Okay. Now this is a table is given from which some questions are asked. What is the difference in the number of unemployment men and women doctors? So here the percentage is given, different categories are given. So this is to interpret a data. How good you are in interpreting a data is what is asked. So here subject wise the marks are given, and which the questions can be the performance of people, performance of subject, performance of class. So you'll have to analyze this. Sometime table is given, sometime figure is given, sometime Venn diagram is given. That is what you should do, identify. Okay. So here it's a comparison between one column to another column, or one row to another row, or in the same column or same row, how the variation happens. This is like curve fitting. see, probably you have given an x and a y. Identify the relation between x and y. So you must identify the formula which is possibly which can be used here and then get the answer, right? Here you must identify little bit of equations. Once such numbers are given, you can also form the lines and equations. Equations are lines and lines are equations. You see this 4x plus 1, 4x plus 1, and you can see how the numbers and the line. Assume that this number is the x-axis and y-axis. If the line passes through 0, 0, then definitely you know there is no constant number x equal to y. If 45 degree is the direction, the slope is, we have already discussed this, y is equal to mx plus c is the equation of the line, where m becomes 45, half. If you know sine and cos formula, you know, or the hypotenuse of 1 unit you take on the x-axis, 1 unit on the y-axis, this will become root 2. Therefore 1 by root 2 will be the slope. 1 by root 2 is the slope when cos and sine gets 45 degree. This is another problem where similarly the one bike fellow who starts and then drives in the first 1 hour with a speed of say 50 km per hour. In 1 hour he will reach 50 km. So once the statement is given, what is done is you can convert that into a graph, or from the graph you can interpret and then get the statement made. X-axis is the time, y-axis is given kilometer. So from this figure I can create a statement, or statement can be converted into a figure. The statement will be the first 1 hour a bikist travels 50 km per hour. Therefore he reached 50 km in 1 hour. In next 1 hour he takes rest. That means he is not moving at all. That's why no increase in the number of kilometers he traveled. Next 1 hour he traveled with a 100 and 125, maybe 75 kilometer he traveled. So he reached at 125. You can see the figure 125 he reaches there. Then he takes rest of 1 hour. Then he travels with a constant speed for next 2 hours with 50 km per hour, say. Therefore, you know he traveled 100 kilometers. He reached from 125 to 225. 2 kilometers in 125 kilometers in 2 hours. This figure represents statement, or statement can be converted into figure. Then few questions are asked. So look at the figure. That is where you can create the statement, or from the statement you can create the figure. Then questions can be asked. How many hours it takes for the motorist to travel 225 kilometers? So 225 kilometers, immediately by interpreting you may say it is 6 hours. But if the question is how many hours he drove to reach there, then these constant between 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 have to be minus. That means 2 hours you will have to minus and say he drove 4 hours, he took 2 hours rest. So you must be very careful in reading and understanding the question. How many hours did he take is the question. It is 6 hours. How many hours he drove is the question. Then it becomes 4 hours. So you must be very careful in answering this. This is what the data interpretation, logical reasoning, puzzle, all such questions which you can answer, which are simple but not very simple, based on your ability to understand these problems ability to understand the logic, understand the English and convert them into actual problems, into graphs or figures. That is more important. So I wish you look at problems very carefully, understand the logic behind it, that is what is logical reasoning, and answer those questions. Now it is 9:40, you have 10 minutes. I have got one Google form for you to fill up. You could mark your attendance, and also you could fill up the, is it accessible now, Google form? Are you able to get the Google form?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I guess it's the right one. Yeah, mathematical aptitude, both the BCS and CTC together. Yeah, I'll share today's PPT to you so that
Sir.
yeah.
Sir. Email it's asking for roll number. It's asking email ID. Email address, sir.
Pardon?
For the roll number, last 3 digits.
Yeah.
If we type it there, it's coming. Please enter a valid email ID.
Yeah, you put your email ID also.
Okay.
Yeah, now you can access it.
Sir, for roll number, we need to enter a mail.
I reset it now.
Reload it.
You can reload it, then it will not ask you.
Okay, sir.
I made that condition, but now I released it.
Sir, can we leave after?
Yeah, fine. It's time already. 9:50 also.